Hello, this is Dr. Shan with your mental health moment. And today I'm going to be talking to you about anger. There are many different types of anger that you can experience, but today I just want to talk to you about chronic anger and how it is an issue for people throughout their life. So, chronic anger is just the feeling or the thought that you have been wrongfully mistreated or wrongfully accused of something or disrespected in some type of way. And so over time, you just stew over it and it just festers. You continue to think about it and then you become tense and upset and frustrated because you feel like, hey, I've been disrespected by this person, or they wrongfully fired me, or this person broke up with me for no apparent reason. I don't deserve that. So your thoughts run away with you, your emotions run away with you, and over time you become very, very angry, and that's a sign of chronic anger. Another part of chronic anger could be that as a child you were abused or molested. When I say abuse, it could be physical abuse, it could be emotional, it could be mental, it could be sexual. And so what happens is over time that anger festers inside of you, and as you grow, the anger grows. And therefore that's chronic anger because you're dealing with unforgiveness and hurt and pain towards someone who mistreated you. It could be that you grew up with a parent that was alcoholic or a parent that was addicted to drugs or alcohol. It could also be that you grew up with a parent who was just absent. Maybe the parent said they would come by and pick you up and take you out to the park and they never showed up. Or they said they were going to come to your football games, maybe a basketball game, cheerleading, chess game, whatever it may be. Your parents said, I'll be there for you, and they just never came. Or it could be the parent that was there and one morning you woke up and they were gone and you never saw them again because mom and dad went through a divorce or separation, or they just had some personal issues. It also could be that you had a parent that was mentally ill. And so this parent being mentally ill and maybe being abusive or depressed or angry as well caused you to become angry because they mistreated you or they harmed you or they just didn't engage. They might have been in your home, but they just didn't engage with you. And so therefore it caused you to have some emotional upsets and feel disrespected or not loved. And therefore you develop chronic anger. So today I want to talk to you about the emotions that are inside of chronic anger and how to treat those, and your thoughts that may be a part of the chronic anger as well. Remember this important fact. If you are angry and you're dealing with chronic anger, anger takes time off of your life. It doesn't take time off the other person's life. Every second, every minute that you're angry, you are taking precious time off of your life because anger will kill you. People have heart disease, high blood pressure, ulcers, migraines, back pain, foot pain, wrist pain, all because they are angry. And then if you hold on to that anger for a long time, your blood pressure will begin to go up. And taking medicine will help, but if you don't get that blood pressure under control and that anger under control, it could cause you to die, to pass away, have a stroke, or have a heart attack. So remember, anger is the silent killer. Stress is a silent killer. And so when you're angry all the time and you have chronic anger, you are killing yourself. That other person has gone on with their life. They're not thinking about you. They probably don't even remember why you two got into an argument, or they don't even know that you're angry. So you need to learn to let it go, release it so you can be okay. So today we're going to talk about some of the emotions and some of the thoughts that go into chronic anger. And then I'm going to give you a few techniques to help you to release the anger, learn to breathe, relax, and let it go. Okay, so let's talk about your emotions and your thoughts and how they play into chronic anger. First, let me just say a lot of people who are emotional can be passive aggressive. So that's a type of anger. Passive aggression is where I could do something like, oh, we're getting ready for church in the morning, and I'm so upset with my spouse that I know that we have to be there by 8. So I'm upset with them for something they said or they did. And I just drag my feet. I take forever to get dressed. I take forever to get out of the shower, to brush my teeth, to come downstairs and eat breakfast, knowing that, let's say this person has to be at church at 8 o'clock to get prepared because they're a singer or something. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to take my time. We'll get there when I say we get there. And so the person's like, hurry up, come on, you're going to make me late. And so I do this intentionally because I'm upset with a person. Another form of anger is when people are silent, right? You just give me the silent treatment. You're being kind of passive aggressive. So the silent anger comes up and you say, what are you upset with me for? I don't even know. I know you did something 3 days ago and I'm still upset with you, but you don't really know why you're angry, but you're just holding on to it. It could be something as simple as maybe they just forgot to put the lid back on the toothpaste or they didn't close down the toilet seat. And this person is livid behind it. And you're like, it's a small thing, but to them it's huge. It's blown out of proportion. They're angry, they feel disrespected or wronged in some kind of way. They think you did it intentionally. So when it comes to that, you have to figure out what are my emotions that are going on. So let's talk about those emotions that are behind it. Everybody has warning signs when you're angry. When you're starting to get angry, before it gets out of control and you start throwing things or cussing people out or slamming doors or your mouth and nose are just twitching all crazy, right? You have a lot of warning signs to let you know that you're angry and you're upset. One is usually people say, I start to feel warm, right? I can feel my temperature rising because I'm just that upset. People say my ears are warm, my throat gets dry. Maybe you start to shake your legs or your hands, you start to tap. Some people will say that their stomach gets in knots or they feel like they have these really bad butterflies, right? Butterflies come from nervousness, but when you're angry, your stomach knots up in pain. Other people will tell me I start to grit my teeth or I ball up my fists, and especially when they're small kids, they ball up their fists and they grit their teeth. And so sometimes adults will even talk through their teeth when they're angry. So if you are doing any of these things when you're upset, and people say, oh, I can tell because your face changes, right? Your eyes get big or your eyes get really small. Then these are your warning signs that you're starting to get angry. And so the way to begin to calm yourself down is to begin to pay attention to those warning signs. And we'll talk about that more in the next segment. But the other piece of this are your thoughts. So the thoughts go along with the emotion. When you say, oh, this person is intentionally doing me wrong. They're trying to hurt me. I hate them. I want them to die. Oh, I'm going to get them back. They're going to pay for what they did to me. Those are chronic negative thoughts. So these negative thoughts cause you to want to respond with unhealthy negative behaviors, right? So the emotions come, the thoughts are coming, and then you want to act or do something to that person. So we have the person that seeks out revenge. Oh, I'm going to make them pay. I'm going to get them back. So they may say something like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over the house and I'm going to slash their tires, right? Or I'm going to key their car. I'll put sugar in the tank. So these are some things that I've heard that men and women have done to people when they are angry. Or I'll just send out this email and tell everybody about who they are and what they've done in their past, or how they are an addict, or how they were a prostitute, or whatever it is something to harm or hurt that other person because they're really in pain. And so the goal is to not allow your thoughts to have you seek revenge, like, oh, they did that to me, I'm going to get them back. Because sometimes people do hurt you and it's not intentional. It is unintentional. They didn't intend to hurt you, but something they said or did is unintentional. So one of the things you have to do is check that out. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes when I go into some techniques to help you to manage your anger. Okay, so let's talk about some techniques. The first thing you want to do when you are starting to experience anger is recognize your emotional warning signs. So, am I feeling hot? Am I starting to feel like I'm clenching my fist, or I am starting to, tap my feet or grip my teeth? Your body cues are very important to helping you remain calm. The next thing, once you recognize, okay, I'm starting to feel this in my body, check your thoughts. Am I thinking that I want to really do something to someone, harm them, or even harm myself? Because sometimes anger can turn inward. Then you want to hurt yourself, right? I'm just a horrible person. I don't deserve to live. I am bad with X, Y, and Z. So you may even think about hurting yourself when you're angry. So we don't want you to do that. You really will need to talk to somebody, and we'll talk about that a little more at the end. The next thing is breathing. I've said this all the time, but breathing is so important. If you can just breathe and calm yourself, make yourself relax. So deep breaths are very important to anybody who needs to calm themselves and center themselves. The next thing I'll say is you always want to think, is it worth it? This anger, is it worth it? Is it worth me taking time off my life? Is it worth me being angry with my spouse and not speaking to them, or being passive aggressive? Is it worth me possibly losing my job because I'm going to go in here and tell these people what I think about them today because I'm upset because they gave me this project that I really didn't want? So is it worth it? The thing that I'm angry about and the action that I'm probably going to take, is it worth the loss that's going to come afterwards? Losing my marriage, losing my kids, losing my job, losing my life. Is it worth it? Right? So always check that first. Then the next thing, create a pros and cons list. It goes with, is it worth it? So what are the pros of me being angry? Oh, I feel good, or oh, I got them back. Well, what are the cons? Did I ultimately lose that person as a friend? Did I lose my job again? Did I lose a relationship with my children? Did I lose a relationship with my spouse? Am I having body aches and pains? Am I mentally off track? Am I losing sleep? Am I overeating? Am I undereating? So there's a lot of cons usually that come with anger. Do I have an ulcer now? Do I have migraines now? So what's the pros and cons to your anger? And a lot of times there aren't really a lot of pros. So the next thing is, think about what I can do differently, right? Can I exercise? Take a kickboxing class, take a yoga class, take a meditation class. What can I do to find a positive way to cope with my anger and to release the anger? You'll always have things that'll trigger it and try to bring it back. But what techniques have you put into your repertoire to help you manage the anger? The next thing I'll say is, it's very important to have a therapist. You can call us, you can call anybody in your city, you can call a friend even sometimes to talk, but it's always important to talk about your anger to get it out. There's a lot of times where people are like, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm so angry, I can't even speak on it. I'm just going to explode. Well, better to have a very small volcanic eruption in a therapist's office than to be up in the person's face that you want to hurt, or in your boss's face, or in your spouse's face, and things get out of hand, and before you know, you've ruined this relationship because of something you've said or you've done, because you're seeing red, because you're so angry. The last thing I will say is that always think about, how will this damage my mind, and how will it damage my body? Is it going to cause me to have some mental distress for a long time? And a lot of people tell me when they're angry, it could last for months, weeks to months to years. And again, that other person has gone on with their life. They're not even thinking about it anymore. Okay, so you got fired. You'll have another job. Somebody will value you and what you bring to the table. Maybe they didn't. They're lost. But it's all in how you think about it. And again, with the emotions, you can't go in and say, I'm going to blow up this place. I'm going to hurt everybody, because now ultimately do you hurt them, but you end up being away from your family and children and in prison somewhere. So again, make sure you're managing your thoughts and emotions around anger. And if nothing else fails, talk to a therapist so you can learn the techniques to properly help you to move forward in life and not be an angry person, not have chronic anger. And that's it for the day.